Today, we're going to be using Xvox Pro to dial in a lead pop-punk vocal chain. We're going to be working from scratch, covering everything from how to get smooth and natural compression, all the way to which tones and reverbs work best in the genre, and so much more. And by the end, we'll have a completely polished lead vocal chain for this mix. Let's get started. Big shout out to This Regret, an incredible artist. Go check out all of their work. This song is called Someone You Can Count On, produced by the incredibly talented Dave Alkin. Go check out all the links in the description. So let's listen to where we're at right now in this mix. We've done some work here and the rest of the track with Xrac Pro. We've done a little bit on the background vocals and doubles, but the lead vocal is completely raw.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you.
So the first thing that sticks out with these vocals is they're incredibly dynamic. And that's very common in this genre. We have a lot of energy in these vocals. And so we need to kind of tame that down a little bit. Now, one of my favorite tricks for handling a vocal like this is to use de-essing at a couple different points in the chain. And I'll usually load up Xvox DS first, just to kind of tame some of the sibilants. A lot of times when you have a super energetic vocal, you got to really be careful about sibilants. So we're going to take a listen to this and just kind of tame it a little bit with the de-esser.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you.
So you can see we're getting just a little bit of de-essing happening first, and then I like to go into Xvox Pro with the rest of the chain. Now, as we said, this vocal is incredibly dynamic. Sometimes it's sticking way out. Sometimes it's getting covered up in the guitars and the rest of the mix. And this is a very common problem in this genre because you have a lot of elements that are very forward in the mix, fighting for attention, fighting for space. And so we really need this vocal to be very compressed so it can sit right up front in the mix. And so it's super important that we use a natural sounding compressor. And that's why I like this Opto plus FET compressor in Xvox Pro. We can really slam it, but it's not going to sound overly compressed. It's just going to tuck it in nicely and let us bring it forward.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you.
So that's really bringing it forward already, which sounds great. I'm going to play around with a couple tricks. The first is with this color. If we push this color up, it's going to darken the compression and it's going to sound a little bit smoother, especially when we get some of those sibilants happening.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you.
You just hear how much smoother that compression sounds, especially around the sibilants. And of course, we're going to use a little bit more de-essing here as well.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it.
So I really like how that sounds. I'm just level matching a little bit with this trim knob here.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it.
So we're not increasing the level in order to bring this vocal out. We're just decreasing the dynamic range and allowing us to place it right in front of those guitars, which is where it needs to be here. So you can hear, especially on the softer words and phrases, this vocal is still right up front in the mix. And that's what this compressor is doing. So let's move on to the tone section next. And for this vocal, I really want it to sound in your face. I want it to be bright, but I don't really want it to be crispy or airy. So I'm going to show you some tricks I like to use. If I flip over to this shaper mode in Xvox Pro, we have some really nice tone curves for getting brightness and clarity without getting crispy or harsh. So take a listen to what this sounds like.
I know that there's nothing I can say. I can't heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it.
And with this particular mode, this is one of the most natural high-end lifts you can get, and it doesn't sound crispy or crunchy. Take a listen in solo, and I'm just going to play around with this high slider so you can hear what it's doing.
I know that there's nothing I can say that can heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue.
So it's just a really clear and nice bright lift here. I'll probably play around with a little bit of high pass filter as well.
I know that there's nothing I can say that can heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. Tell me instead, I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did, but the damage is done and I'm so out of it.
And And then you can hear I'm just shaping the mids and lows, pulling a little bit of lows out, pushing a little bit of fullness in the mids. And all of a sudden this vocal is sounding really full and bright, but it's not sounding plasticky or harsh. So next up, I want to give this vocal a little bit of space. I want it to sit in the mix a little bit more. So for that, we're going to play with some reverb and delay. Now, one of my favorite reverbs for this genre is this digital reverb. This is just a classic digital reverb sound. And one of the great things about it is it's super clear. It doesn't get muddy. It doesn't have a lot of buildup in any one frequency range. It's just a very clear reverb. So take a listen to what it sounds like.
Ready to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it.
You can hear it's just a super clear sounding verb. Let's play it in the mix.
Ready to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did.
So I really like how that sounds. One thing I can do is play with this verb duck. And this is going to allow us to duck the reverb out of the way when the dry vocal is there. It just helps increase the articulation and clarity a bit.
Ready to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did. The damage is done and I'm so out of it.
I love how that sounds. Now there's one more thing I want to try, which is to give this vocal a little bit more grit and power. And for that, I'm going to flip over to this amp mode. And this is just a really natural sounding saturation. Take a listen to what it sounds like.
Ready to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did, but the damage is done and
So you hear when we engage it, it just feels like that vocal got a little bit more powerful. It's just adding a little bit of presence in the mids and lows. It just feels really full and nice now. Let's take a listen in the mix.
I know that there's nothing I can say that can heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did.
I really like how that sounds. Now that we've got this all dialed in, I might want to play around with just a little bit of shine and polish on this vocal, and we'll do that with the Air Plus slider. Now we got to be careful not to overdo it. Just a couple percent might lift it up in a nice way.
I know that there's nothing I can say that can heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it.
I really like how that's shaping the high end. Another thing I like to do is with Xrider. I like to dial this in just to catch any peaks and help that vocal sit perfectly in the mix with an automatic vocal ride. So to do this, I'm just gonna set the target gain here right around where the top of the waveform is.
I know that there's nothing I can say that can heal the scars and I get it. You need to take flight, I'm not gonna argue. It's obvious that I just don't deserve you. You gave me your heart and I dropped it. You gave me your trust and I broke it. I wish I could rewind and change what I did, but the damage is done and I'm so out of it.
So you can see with this blue true gain line, this is what the gain rider is actually doing. And we can see on these long notes that would otherwise kind of stick out and sound a little bit too forward, it's kind of tucking those back by just a couple dB. And then some of the little tiny details and articulations that might otherwise get lost behind some of the guitars, those are just being brought forward in a nice way. So overall, it's just helping it sit perfectly in the mix. So let's take a listen to this vocal chain in the chorus now.
I'm so sorry I can't be what you want me to be. My fault.
I love how this chain is sounding in the chorus. I might add even a little bit more air in the chorus. As I'm mixing this track, I might duplicate the vocal and treat the chorus slightly different than the verse. And in this case, maybe give the chorus a little bit more air.
I'm so sorry I can't be what you want me to be. My fault, I keep fucking everything up. Stay away from me.
So now now this vocal sounds really upfront and clear in the mix. It sounds very full, and we were able to dial it in very quickly using Xvox Pro. Now, these are some of my favorite algorithms to use on a track like this, but obviously you can explore and customize it, explore all these different tone curves, different compressors, reverbs, and so much more with Xvox Pro. It's all super easy to dial in and experiment with to find what works best on your particular mix. If you want to see how we would dial in the rest of the background vocals and doubles and harmonies in this track, leave us a comment and give this video a like. And as always, happy mixing.